Hi everyone, this is Virginia Parsons, your Hangout mentor, and I'm here to help you reach new heights of success using this remarkable tool, Google Hangouts. And today what we're going to talk about are 5 tips for you to produce a professional Google Hangout that's really going to help effectively brand and market your business. And that's what it's all about, is making sure that you come across as an authority and an expert in your field, looking professional. So the first tip we're going to cover today is the camera. The camera is vital to your connection to your audience. It's so important that the camera you're using is a good quality camera that gives clarity and looks good to your audience. Now, I use a Logitech C920 with a 1080p high definition lens. That's really one of the best cameras available out there right now. You can buy webcams such as this for around $125. And what you're going to find is you can attach this to the top of your monitor if you're using a desktop. You could also attach it and plug it into a laptop if you have an inferior camera on your laptop. Either way, it's the best way to go. Now, if you have a laptop and you're using the webcam that's built in, that's fine, but it'd be preferable if it is an HD camera. So take a look at what you've got. If you don't like the clarity you're getting from the camera you have, I really suggest you go get one of those Logitechs. Now, the other thing to think about is where you mount the camera. You want the camera to be eye level so that when you're looking at it, you're looking straight. You're not looking up or you're not looking down. That's one of the challenges when you work with a laptop and do a Hangout on air. Because with a laptop, it tends to be lower than you, so you're looking down at it. So what I suggest you do is lift the laptop up, put it on something, a few books or something like that that raises it up so that when you're looking in the camera, it's at eye level. Just critical to coming across effectively. Now, you already know, you've heard me talk before about the importance of looking into the camera. It's your connection to your audience. It's really important that you look at the camera and talk to the camera just like you would be talking to your best friend or someone who you really value and care about. So use that trigger to just think, I'm talking to someone I care about, and look into the camera when you're talking. Now, sometimes it's difficult to look into the camera while you're trying to look at and manage the Hangout on air. So what you can do is actually shrink your screen from your broadcast. Just shrink it down, move it up so that it's up at the top center of your broadcast, of your screen, right underneath the camera. When you shrink it down, then even if you look down a little bit, it's not going to look like you're looking away from the camera. So that's tip number 1, and probably one of the most important, having a good relationship with your camera and having a great camera. Step number 2 is your internet connection. Oh, this is so important to coming across professionally so that you brand and market yourself as a professional and an expert in your field. So what I recommend is a hardwired connection using an Ethernet cable. That way you're directly connected to your router and you're going to get the highest possible speed in your connection. You know, when you're having a Hangout, you're using a lot of bandwidth. So it's very important you get as much speed as possible. Now, if you don't know what your speed is, you can go check your speed, your internet connection speed, at a site called bandwidthplace.com. On bandwidthplace.com, you can find out how fast your internet connection is. And really, to have a good quality internet connection, particularly if you're going to have a number of guests online, I suggest nothing less than 3 Mbps so that you have the speed that you really desire. Now, I'm working at somewhere around 50, so I'm in good shape here. But if you're not, you might want to look at a way to increase your speed. Now, one of the things you can also do to not take up too much memory on your computer, because you need lots of memory as well, is to close out all those tabs on your internet browser. Only keep the tabs open that you're going to be using for your Hangout broadcast. So close everything else down. Now, that also includes any programs you might have open. If you have your email open, any programs that you're not using for the broadcast, make sure you shut them down so you free up the memory within your computer. In addition to that, you might actually think about just rebooting your computer before you start the broadcast. Again, that's just going to free up memory for you. The more memory and the more bandwidth speed you have, the better quality your broadcast will be. And one of the disasters that can happen if you don't have adequate speed is that you actually could fall off the broadcast. So there's people watching and suddenly you're not there. So it's just very important that you make sure that you've got a good quality connection. If you are using a laptop, which many people do, and you're used to using a wireless connection, it's just not the best and you really could fall off. So make sure you connect to your router with that hardwired Ethernet cable. Now, one of the other things you can do is also at the top, you're going to see bars that say adjust bandwidth usage. You can go in there and click on that, and once you click on that, it will give the ability to lower the bandwidth. It will make your picture a little more fuzzy, but at least that way you may not fall off the broadcast and lose everybody's connection. Now, let's talk for a moment about browsers. I prefer to use Chrome browser because it's a Google product, and Hangouts on Air are a Google product, so I like to use Chrome. But you may also have good success with Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer. Try all of them out. See what one works best for you. Sometimes Chrome won't work for me one day and works great the next. So just know that you can flip around using browsers, but I prefer Chrome most of the time. Now, let's take a look at tip number 3. Your audio. It's really imperative that you have clear quality audio because that's the other way you're connecting with your audience. And so if you're fuzzy or you have feedback, that's going to be difficult for your audience to want to continue to listen. So I really recommend an external mic with a directional focus. I happen to use a Yeti Blue, and I'm just going to pick it up for you so you can see it here. Here's the Yeti Blue that I use. I just set it a couple feet away from me, and because it's a directional mic, it's picking up my voice. But at the same time, it's not picking up all the white noise in the background, such as the white noise from my computer. It's not going to be picking up sounds outside or sounds in the rest of my office. So I suggest a good directional mic to get the best audio. Now, if you're using a laptop, it's really critical that you use earbuds. Put some earbuds in your ears that come down and have a mic underneath it, and plug that into your laptop so that you don't get feedback. The problem with laptops without earbuds is you're probably going to get feedback, and it's going to sound like you have two voices going on. Very difficult for your audience to hear. Make sure that any of your guests also are using earbuds for the broadcast. Now, you don't want feedback, right? So the earbuds are important, but here's another thing you need to think about. Don't talk to your audience and type on the computer at the same time. If you do, what happens is the broadcast automatically mutes your voice. So you might be thinking you're giving them a good bit of information and you're typing away, but oh no, you might be communicating with your audience by typing, but they're not hearing what you're saying. So don't type and mute at the same time. Tip number 4 is lighting. It's really important you have good lighting. Again, it helps with the clarity of the broadcast. So it's important that you have some lights off to the side of you out in front, and those lights will give you an even cast. Now what I like to use is a full spectrum natural light that I get from an OTT light. That's OTT, OTT light. The OTT light is very inexpensive. You can usually pick that up for about $30, and it's very easy to just flip open and shut, and it just gives you the best natural light that you can place on each side. Now, in addition to an OTT light, if you don't want to worry about that, you could just pick up a clamp light from your local hardware store. Clamp lights are very easy to set up again on each side of you in front, and then use a 40-watt daylight fluorescent bulb in that. And then on top of that, grab a plastic bag that you can pick up from your grocery store bags and put it over that light, and that will help diffuse the light and make it softer for you. Now, let's think about the problem with having windows open without shades on them. That can create a really difficult backlight situation, and it just can over-intensify the light in your broadcast. So I really recommend that you close the shades and make sure you just have adequate light in the room that you create yourself. All right, let's go to tip number 5. Tip number 5 is image enhancements. You want to make sure that your image that is coming across to your audience is the best possible one so that they enjoy watching what you're sharing. So you want your image to be effective. There happens to be a tool on the Hangout. If you mouse, you'll see and go up to the upper right part of your Hangout, you'll have Enhanced. When you click on that, you'll have several options. You'll be able to create a focused. I'm going to show you some of these. Here's a focused image. Here's a brightened image, which you would use if you were in a low-lit room. Here's a spotlight image. Here's a warm image if you happen to have too much coolness in the room, you know, the lighter shades. Smooth is what I prefer. You can also go black and white if you're doing something rather artsy. And, of course, go back to original with nothing. I'm going back to smooth because that's my favorite. Now, I want you to understand the importance of branding yourself using a lower third, which is what you see right here underneath. Now, the lower third really helps set you apart as an expert in your field. So make sure that you do a quality one. Add a logo to it if you would like. But the lower third helps people identify you, sets your brand apart, and identifies you as an expert. I'll be doing a full training on all the options for lower thirds and transparencies like you see me working here on the side of the screen. Finally, let's talk for a moment about makeup. And yes, men, this means you too. It's important that you do use some makeup. Well, that's what they do in the studios, isn't it? Well, you're becoming a professional and you're expressing yourself as a professional. So I suggest at the very least that everyone wear a matte powder, a form of powder that's a translucent light powder but is matte. No shininess, ladies. You don't want to be reflecting on the skin. So use some kind of makeup that's going to give you a matte look. Now for ladies, add some eye makeup that'll help your eyes to pop. We want those eyes to pop because remember, your eyes are your connection to your audience. So I hope you found these tips helpful. If you want more details on the tips I provided you, I really encourage you to go to hangoutmentor.com. That's www.hangoutmentor.com and jump onto my blog. On my blog, you'll get more information on these 5 tips so that you can produce a Hangout that looks professional and sets you apart in your field and helps you brand and market your business. That's all for today. Thanks for stopping by. This is Virginia Parsons, your Hangout mentor. Bye now.